This is Talk About Toys, hosted by Mike Branscombe, with guest star James Marino, featuring an antique bookshelf and a collection of literary works, and a special appearance by fantasy novel The Keepers of Mercia, and a time travel machine. This week on Talk About Toys, we'll be driving up to Canterbury, New Hampshire. We're going to meet our guest star James Marino, and he'll be showing us his antique bookshelf and his collection of antique books. We'll see what these bookshelves hold. But before we do, we're going to meet up with Jim, check out the SNHU campus. We'll also tag along with Jim to visit the Smyth Public Library in Candia for a reading of The Keepers of Mercia. We'll take a journey into the past and into the future and see what we find. Can I find where I'm going? Do we get stuck back in time? Will anyone like our stories? What happens at Jim's book reading in Candia? Is having an imagination enough to succeed? How are times different now from the past? And from the future? Will there be a surprise quiz at the end of the episode? What will happen? Find out next on Talk About Toys. There's no place to get the imagination going like an old-fashioned brick-and-mortar library. Let's get this show on the road. Let's meet our guest star and see what he's about.
Welcome. I'm James Marino. I'm a local author from Canterbury, New Hampshire. And last year I was signed by a publisher to publish my first novel, a fantasy novel titled The Keepers of Mercia. And it's a coming-of-age story wrapped in a fantastical setting. So, yeah. Thank you so much. Look at that, he already finished his cupcake from the start.
Well, it fascinates me that you're sitting there and you have a book that you wrote, published,
right,
presented with a nice cover, and there it is. Jim's going to tell us about how his first novel came together. Let's listen in.
And then the story just kind of grew from there. And then I had all of these little scenes that I had written down. And then eventually I strung them all together and then filled in all the blanks and built it out.
What's it like to hear a novelist read from his own book? Let's see, right now.
Rain gathered on the branches above and dripped down from time to time in the form of acorn-sized globes, several of which had found their way inside Bennet's coat. She ignored the cold discomfort and focused on Nilges, the worker her father had hired to help with harvesting. Over the course of the past few days, Bennett had worked with Nilges and become comfortable with him despite his gaunt and shabby appearance, which at first she found slightly disturbing. Nilges stood a foot taller than Bennett, and at 34 was twice her age.
A little flavor?
Yes. All right. Now we're just getting silly. All right.
Did someone say silly? Guess that means it's time to fire up the time travel machine and head to Southern New Hampshire University. Let's hear about when Jim started to discover his fascination with books.
I did not like to read in high school. When I first started college, I did not like to read. When I got into English literature and began to really kind of immerse myself in the stories and the different times and the different authors, I really started to see something pretty wonderful in it.
Let's get that time travel machine going. We're sure in for a ride now. Times sure are changing fast. The SNHU campus is sure emblematic of that. Campus over there with the thing in my car, it's like this little dollar shot of big building.
Well, you've got to get these three buildings. I'm often telling people, when's the last time I find out they have some connection to this campus or whatnot? I went to school there, I do something. And I always say, when's the last time you went there? Take the 15-minute, drive one day and head out there because it's unbelievable. Like I said, I finished grad school here in 2009. This building wasn't here. That building wasn't there. The library wasn't there. It's unbelievable. And they built another building across next to where the library was. It's unbelievable the change that they've made on this campus.
A lot different for those of us who remember when SNHU was New Hampshire College. Let's continue on our journey. Let's get back to our discussion with novelist James Marino. What are some of this novelist's all-time favorites? Let's see right now.
But if the
All-time world's best book for you.
best book,
For you.
This Day All Gods Die by Stephen Donaldson. You know, I recognize there's greatness in those pages, and so they mean more to me.
What drives this novelist to be a novelist? Let's listen in.
The idea or the notion that I have these ideas and thoughts or stories in my mind, and I feel like they have to get down on paper. And the thing that drives me to continue doing it is that when I do complete that great sentence, that great paragraph, that great page, that great chapter, there's nothing better.
Let's look back in time and see what Jim appreciates about his antique books.
Well, it's even the antique books, right? The antique books that I collect. I mean, there's something about them. I'm not going to read them over and over, but they're beautiful, and there's just something about them that makes it valuable to me. Yeah. But a lot of work did go into them, and they're beautiful. And that's the thing, it's not just the content that is art, the book itself is art.
It's different than reading a Kindle.
Absolutely. Which I'm not anti-Kindle, but I like to hold a book.
I mean, that would be your thing.
That's how they made them. These books were made for people to cherish and to hold on to and to share. All of the books had inscriptions. To my dear wife, to my dear daughter, to my dear husband, to my Uncle Joe, whatever. I mean, these were sacred things.
I'm starting to get the idea. Books from a different time were a more significant part of our culture in the days before Facebook and YouTube, and even before television, running water, or electricity.
Well, and these books were painstakingly made, too. You know, these weren't just simply run off. I mean, they did obviously have a printing press, but you'll see the craft that went into making these bindings and making these books. Yeah, I think we'll want to talk about that, I think, at my house.
Well, he said it, and you know what that means. That's right, time travel machine. Well, this is it. Let's see an antique bookcase and some antique books. Well, this is exciting, Jim. Let's check out my antique books.
Come on down and look at my books.
Come on down.
Yeah, I don't recall getting that as a kid a lot. Come on over and look at my books. This is 19th century, hand carved, original glass, and you can tell it's original glass. But when you look at it, you see it kind of waves a little bit at you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's got little ripples in it, and it's because they really hadn't perfected glass like we have now. Great piece, original lock and key on it. What better to fill an antique bookcase with than antique books?
Stored.
It was taken care of. Most people who collect antiques do take good care of them.
Has there been any refinishing or touch-up on this? Or
no refinishing, no touch-up.
One of the things.
Those little beads that you put on the bottom of the screen would be great with the Bronte sisters.
Yeah.
Because many people are not going to know the significance of that collection.
I don't know.
Yeah, that is.
Can we get one out and take a look?
Absolutely, yeah. Let's take a look. What I love about these is leather bound. In addition to that, they have the gold leafing on the top of the pages. I mean, they really knew how to make books back then. You don't see this type of craftsmanship in books anymore.
No, this is an original Wuthering Heights. The little kid or the inner child in me I'm just amazed by it.
I think I think it is kind of the little kid in me too that makes me want to collect things like this.
And she looks like she's...
Are the printed etchings in these?
Yeah.
Are gorgeous. Meticulously done. So this is a set of Shakespeare's works. This is a complete set. This is everything Shakespeare did. Every work. And it's amazing to me because, like I said, I've studied Shakespeare, and there are a number of plays in here I had never heard of. Now, I've researched a lot of antique books. I cannot find... There is no date written on these. There is no date written on these. I'm certain of that. I cannot find comparables enough on the internet to verify when this was made.
About something that now has since happened.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
It's amazing. It always makes me wonder about these movies now about space travel and warp drive and reaching other planets and meeting other civilizations. Like, 100 years from now, are people going to be like, they used to make movies about this, and now we're actually doing it. So, Mike, there's one last book I wanted to show you, and that is my own book. And I actually brought you a copy to hold, too.
Fantastic.
You can look at it, you can smile at it. I talk to him sometimes.
Yeah.
I think what I love about this, it doesn't have the same feel that these antique books have. In other words, it doesn't have the gold pages and the binding and the raised spine. But it is a piece of art, and it's something that I made.
Participating in something that you have great admiration for.
Sure.
You have great admiration for the authors who are in these books.
Absolutely.
Their heart and their soul is there, and
right.
A little bit of
old Jimmy.
Marino is
old Jimmy is right in there. I mean, it was a long time coming. It was something I thought about for a long time, and was finally.
Did you have that moment where you sort of had to just decide, you know what, I'm just going to do that?
Absolutely.
About it, and then there's a time where you have to commit yourself to doing it and completing it.
Absolutely. And knowing that, or not knowing that, but feeling like it's a near impossibility to do, but you're going to give it your best and really that was in the back of my mind the entire time, is that 15 years from now, 20 years from now, I did not want to look back and say I didn't give it my best shot.
Yeah.
I did give it my best shot, and even if it hadn't worked out, I would have at least been comfortable knowing that I gave it my best shot. But to have that best shot work out this way is really gratifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone who responds, contacts me on the website, I'm happy to respond. It's really important to stay in touch with your audience, and I think I've done a good job of that.
I think there's
to go for it. Pass or fail. Go for it. Don't look back and regret. And wish that you would have tried it. Go for it. It's not an easy thing to do, but if you have a passion for it,
best
go
things
for
in
it.
life aren't free.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
you're free. And you know what? Talk about toys is free. You can't always play it safe. At some point, you have to take that leap, and it's scary and it's thrilling. And the great thing about it is, again, pass or fail. If you fail, you gave it your best shot, and you never have to think about that. You never have to have that regret. If it works out, then even better.
What's life if you don't take a few risks?
Absolutely.
Would this exist?
No, it wouldn't exist had I not taken a risk to it.
Yeah, it's like I say to people a lot of times, if you're never willing to try, you're guaranteeing yourself failure out of the gate.
Sure.
So people, and I think a lot of young people and kids even do that too. They won't. I don't want to play that. I don't think I'll win.
Right.
You already lost.
They need that encouragement.
You already lost.
Right.
If you're not willing to just sort of give it the old college try or whatever the current term is, then
it's like Rick Pitino said, Mike. When you lie about your mistakes, you make them part of your future. When you tell the truth, you make them part of your past. So that has nothing to do with writing.
I should throw in a Jim Valvano quote.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
And that's your book cover from the publisher.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the idea that you sent to them.
Yeah, right. Exactly. They did exactly what I wanted to. And what I'm hoping is that copies of this book will be in antique book collections hundreds of years from now. See you later, folks.
Come back again. Well, it's been a great show. We headed up to Canterbury, New Hampshire, and met our guest star, James Marino, and he showed us his antique bookshelf, his collection of antique books, and his own novel, too. We also got to sit down with Jim at the SNHU campus and tag along for a book reading at the Smyth Public Library. We even got to go for a ride in my new time machine. Well, I managed to find where I was going, surprisingly enough. Jim and I got to look through his antique books and had some fun doing so, too. Turns out this bookshelf is an adventure into the past and into the future in and of itself. Inventing a time machine just added to the fun. Hopefully, people will like our stories. Contact us to let us know what you think. Having an imagination is one thing. Focusing that into a finished work is a whole other effort to itself. Like Jim says, it's a leap, but taking some risks is better than living with regret. Times have changed a lot, and looking around the SNHU campus, I barely recognize the place. Looking good, SNHU. I think as long as we don't forget about the best things from our past, and we take the best with us into the future, great things lie ahead for all of us. No, there's no surprise quiz. I'll leave those for Jim to give to his students. Please take a moment to subscribe to our channel, and remember to tune into our next episode. The guest star, it could be your neighbor, it could be you. Hello, Cleveland!
All about. This is what it takes to make it in this business.
Hello.
Welcome to Story Time. It's great to have you here with us this week.
My show's kind of an adventure. That's part
It's
of
adventure making it.
something about
I've had enough of this audience.
Yeah, let's get them.
Let's go. That's enough.
Y'all come back now real soon, yeah?